Hello and welcome back to Irma Sofra. Today I'm going to be showing you a classic recipe on how to make Balkan style stuffed peppers, so stay tuned for my traditional recipe. We don't use a lot of spices when it comes to making stuffed peppers, so we need to get some type of flavor from something, and we're going to use vegetables for that. Now here I have my gypsy peppers. I highly recommend using those because they give the best flavor. I don't like using bell peppers really with anything, even when I'm cooking like during the winter. I stock up on these in the summertime, like the late summer, early fall. I put them in the freezer, and then I have them year round because I just like the flavor that gypsy peppers give off. If not, you can also use sweet banana peppers. Now I'm using an electric chopper to chop up my carrots, my parsley, 1 clove of garlic. I know you saw 3, but we're only using 1 for the meat, and my onions. The reason why we're using an electric chopper is because we want a nice fine dice that's going to give us a lot of flavor. It's going to enhance the flavors because, like I said, we're not using a lot of spices. To my meat, I'm also adding some pepper, some vegeta, some paprika, and some ayvar. The ayvar is totally optional. I know a lot of people can't find it in stores, but you can find it online. There's some on Amazon. I just looked. So I highly recommend using it. And if you've never tried it before, order it, give it a try, because trust me, it goes with everything. I love it just on toast sometimes. And then the vegeta also is optional. You can use salt to replace it. I don't like telling people how much vegeta to put in, and pepper, it's to your personal liking. Then we're going to mix everything until well combined. As I was mixing, I looked up and I saw that I almost forgot one of the most important ingredients when it comes to making stuffed peppers, which is the rice. So here I'm just adding some cleaned, washed rice, and you guys can see that I do just use a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. Remember that rice triples in size, so you don't need to add too much. We really want to focus on the meat here and not the rice. Okay, so I've already cut the tops of my pepper. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place the meat inside the pepper. Now, the most important thing when it comes to making stuffed peppers is to not overdo the meat inside the pepper. So we're just going to gently press in the meat. You don't want to overdo it because we want nice, tender ground beef inside. We want all those flavors to kind of combine together with that sauce. And if you press the meat in too much, it's going to be very hard. It's not going to be this beautiful, tender, thing of meat. So that's definitely what we want to focus on. Whatever meat you have left, just roll it up into little meatballs, and then we can put them directly into the sauce as it's cooking. So this is an optional step. I'm just giving some color to the skin of the pepper. I have some oil in my pan, about a tablespoon of oil, and then just be really cautious because the oil and then the pepper, the liquid there, so it'll start popping. So just be really cautious when you're working with that, and it's an optional step. You don't have to do it. And then, like I said, it just gives it a little bit of color, and after that we are just going to make sure that every side is browned. You don't have to do this step. You can just skip to when we add the garlic. Alright, so I took all my peppers out. Now I'm adding some more oil to my hot pan. Now remember, the pan is already hot. I'm going to add my garlic. The problem with this is because I made the mistake in adding the garlic without letting my pan kind of cool down. When you add cold garlic to hot oil, it's going to cook a lot faster. You guys will see in like a couple seconds it's already turning golden brown. So just be cautious of that. Make sure that you're working with like a lukewarm oil before adding in your garlic. Then I'm adding in my flour, and I'm going to stir that. Now I kind of eyeballed this, so I saw that I needed more oil, so I'm going to go in and add some more oil because I saw that the flour is looking more like flour, not looking like a nice paste for a roux. So I'm just going to keep drizzling in the oil until I get a nice even consistency. Once we get a nice creamy roux, the next and most important step is going to be to cook that roux for at least 60 seconds. What that's going to do is we're going to get that icky flour taste out of the roux. We don't want that in our sauce. And then I'm going to add in my paprika, just regular paprika. I'm not using smoked or anything fancy. And I'm just going to mix that in with my roux, and then I'm going to add in my cold water. And if you guys have been following me and watching my videos, you know I rave about doing cold water with hot roux. That way we don't get any lumps, and we're just going to stir that until everything is well combined. Once everything is well combined, I'm going to go ahead and add in my chicken base, and I'm going to stir that in, and then I'm going to add the remaining water. The next step is just to let that come up to a simmer. So once that comes to a simmer, and you guys can see it's thickened up quite beautifully. It's not like a thick sauce. It's beautiful, creamy. It's like a nice chowder. I'm gonna add in my peppers, and I'm gonna cook this. Now I cooked this for like an hour and a half, and that's only because I totally forgot about it. I had it on low and I was busy with my kids, but it takes literally like 45 minutes. But the longer you do cook it, remember that the meat will be more tender. So when they came out, they were absolutely amazing. So if you guys can cook them for an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes on a low setting, that would be ideal because the flavor you just can't beat. All right, so I'm gonna add in those 2 little meatballs that I had with the remaining meat, and then I'm gonna add in 1 bay leaf, and I'm gonna add in my little secret. It's celery. So I'm gonna use a stalk of celery. I'm not gonna cut it, it's just cut in half, and I'm gonna put it in the sauce. It really gives it this phenomenal flavor without overdoing it with the celery. I feel like celery sometimes overdoes it. Just a nice hint of celery in there, and we're just gonna let that cook and hang out. So this was like 45 minutes in. They were fully cooked, but I just let them kind of hang out and slowly simmer for all those beautiful flavors to come together. Very last thing, hour and a half later, I'm going to go in and taste that little sauce, and I'm going to make sure that it's wonderful, and it is. I just added a little bit of parsley and some pepper to it, and that was it, you guys. They were done, ready to go, and oh my god, my mouth, I was literally drooling, and I'm drooling right now thinking about them. I serve it with some mashed potatoes, the sauce, and it is phenomenal. Old school, but like just warms your heart. It just reminds me of, you know, the good old days growing up when I used to like peel off the pepper. I think I literally didn't eat the pepper until I was like 18. Comment down below and tell me if you were like that too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Add me on Instagram if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.